Ah. All right. What's going on, guys? Stock Easy here for the first time in a long time, and feels good to be back. I asked you guys to ask me some questions online and posted on my Instagram because I figured the best way to attack not being here for about 4 or 5 months now was to just answer questions before I start diving into making content again. And a bunch of you posted. But before I even get into that, I just want to thank you guys so much for hitting 10,500 subscribers. The extra thousand, I would say, is in the time that I hadn't posted any videos. So constantly thanking you guys for the amount of encouragement and support, even in my absence. So with all that out of the way, I have managed to capture a bunch of the questions you guys asked me on Instagram, and rather than answering them there, I decided to hop on my iPad and answer them right here for you. So let's get into this folder real quick, and we're gonna make this a quick one so we can just breeze past this and we're going to get right back into content creation because I really do miss you guys and making content and having conversations. So I do apologize for my absence, but it is much needed. And I'm sure one of those questions will come up, so I'm going to save my answers until that point. Questions. Boop, 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 boop. The homie Nicholas Ledner is the first question up on my screenshots, and he says, generally, how's your summer? Just saying what up to you and Katie and your bro. Summer. eh, it's been okay. Glad to hear from you. We got to catch up, hop on a call soon. I'm sure we're all experiencing the same kind of drab summer right now, which is totally fine. This is a very trying time, and this is just what it is to be human and live on an earth where we don't control a whole lot of the things that happen, like a pandemic or natural disasters. You just kind of got to roll with it. Thoughts on film versus digital, and when to use what? Thoughts on film versus digital and when to use what? Yeah, actually, I have a ton of thoughts on that. But to just make it short and sweet, I tend to keep film for as a treat for me. It's pretty expensive and it's hard to get developed. I've tried to develop my own stuff, but it's very time consuming. So I like to keep my film camera with me wherever I go. I always travel with it. I'll throw it in the bag with just a few rolls. And on certain days where I feel like slowing down, I'll pull my film camera out and I'll just snap a couple of pictures. And the best part of that is in a few months when I remember, or if I just throw that exposed roll into a pile of film, I get that all developed eventually. And then it's almost like these really incredible, beautiful moments that I totally forgot I captured on film. And it's a big amalgamation of my year or my months or whatever, however amount of time that passed. That's how I shoot my film nowadays. Some days I go out with the intention to shoot and shoot a ton of film and I'll get that developed immediately. But these days it's more just kind of like, I'll go back to that film and I'll just be like, holy crap, there's a lot of happy surprises in here. So do you make your website with HTML, CDs, skills, or did you use templates? This is from Professor Besser Wisser. Professor Besser Weiser. My website is built off of Wix, which I need to update. So, yeah. Rick Rib, what is your biggest inspiration? My biggest inspiration in life has probably got to be cinema. I watch a ton of movies. I studied acting for a while, and cinema and music inspire me. They put me in the mood to go and create and do things, especially when the cinema is something that's thrifty and it's finessed and it's done on a small scale, not these boombastic productions, things where where it's so inspiring that you're like, man, I couldn't have done this, but not so inspiring that you're like, holy shit, I would never be able to create something like this. What do you put on your pizza? I am a original recipe kind of guy. I like my sunflower seeds plain. I like my popcorn with butter and salt. I like my pizza with cheese, often with pepperoni. If I'm at a very fancy spot, I'll go a little crazy. But for the most part, give me everything original. Don't mess with it. Don't put barbecue sauce on it. Don't get crazy. Just give me the cheese. Thank you, Hannah May, for that very important question. How do you create and edit your YouTube videos? Always liked your style, brother. Thanks, Marlon Caballero. I really appreciate that. I edit everything in Premiere Pro. As you guys know, I put up these like white borders. I don't know why. I've always liked the way white borders looked on photos because it gives it that gallery feel. So every photo I ever hung in my apartment always had white borders on it. And as I started making video, I was like, hey, why not give it that gallery feel? And I just stuck with it. There's no real rhyme or reason to why I did it. It just is. And now it's something that I do. So if you guys see anybody else doing that on their videos, tag me so I can go over there and get my props for starting it. When will you be making another Fuji video? Notice this is an open-ended question. LOL. El Huso T. I'll tell you what. If someone sent me an X100F, an X100V as a loaner, I could see myself making some content for that. That camera is definitely intriguing. The X100 series is something that has always been in the back of my mind. And actually, right now I'm shooting with an X-T4 over there as my B cam. This is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K. That's the X-T4, which I plan on using as a B-roll camera and a lot of handheld stuff. So maybe there could be some content in the future about this camera because the video on this and the IBIS is pretty legit. So we'll see. What are you doing to stay creative? Will Funk. Honestly, nothing. I've gotten quite a few of these questions, and they all assume that I have been staying creative or that people are staying creative. I haven't been. I've just been taking this time for myself. It's a lot of downtime. Things were moving pretty fast right before the pandemic, and that was great. I love staying busy, but I am very much the type of person that likes my private time, my downtime, my lazy time. And if no one was watching, I very quickly would weigh 500 pounds and just be crushing Mountain Dew, playing Call of Duty and Ghost of Tsushima or Last of Us, whatever it is, I just can like go into a dark place and just stay there forever. So I feel like these times are like good times for me to rejuvenate because when I come out, I'm like full throttle. So I haven't really been doing much. Patrick Pilkey, if you could only choose one camera and one lens, what would you choose? That is very difficult. One camera right now would be my Leica QP. I recently shot something in the desert with Jason Momoa on a Harley Davidson commercial shoot, and I had the Q2 and the SL2, and that combination was just so, it was just so good. Talk about nailing it. So I would trade out my QP for a Q2 right now. Just the 47 megapixel sensor that's on that. I have a preset that I was using on the SL2 that I made. It wasn't something that I bought, that I made. And it basically pushed the shadows all the way up, pulls the highlights down. It just breaks the files. And if I put that on my 24 megapixel QP, the camera would just, it would just have all kinds of funky artifacts. It couldn't handle the amount of editing that was taking place. But when I took that same style and I copied and pasted it onto the Q2, it held up and it rendered the colors beautifully. I can't wait to share those photos with you guys. But yeah, so Q2 would be my one camera for the rest of my life. If I could change the lens on it, I'd put a 35. Kreger C, Leica Q series versus Fuji X100 series. Thoughts, comments, preferences, pros, cons, etc. 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 I feel like I kind of... Okay, to sum it up, the perfect camera for me it doesn't really have IBIS. I actually don't really care about IBIS whatsoever. It's the form factor of a rangefinder. It has a 1 point something lens attached to it. It's 28 millimeter to 35 millimeter, and the screen flips out. So if we were to put the Q2 and X100V together, I would have my perfect camera. Less settings. I prefer less settings than what the X100V offers. I like only to be able to control my parameters for auto ISO because oftentimes I shoot anywhere from 400 ISO to 1600 ISO auto in the day, and I tell the camera to never go below 500 or 100 of a second on the shutter speed, and then I control my aperture. So I shoot aperture priority a lot, no matter what it is that I'm doing. Unless I'm in the studio, then it's full manual. But that's the only real setting I care about. Other than that, I can figure out the camera, and maybe I want to change the colors to inspire me, so I like to switch it to black and white or color depending on what it is that I'm shooting. And the Q series has that simplicity that I really like, but the new X100V screen that just get those low angles, I really like shooting low. I like infusing drama by dropping the camera real low. That's the only thing I have to say about that. I love both of the cameras. I would shoot either or, but I love the simplicity of the Q2. And I also love the focus tab on it and the macro setting. So if we can put those two together, that'd be a beautiful thing. Big Mike, Cyber Mike, what style of composition do you inspire yourself when shooting the frozen few and other like that? One of the corniest tattoos that I have that I'm stuck with for life amongst all the other ones. When I was studying acting, my acting teacher said that I had a quality about me that was as if I was destroying with elegance, and that always stuck with me. So I got the switchblade and destroy with elegance on my arm because it always meant even if you were playing the villain, you could do things elegantly. So this idea of elegance has always been stuck in my head. So while motorcycles they're fast, they're furious, part 8 or 9, they're fast and they're furious and dirty and aggressive, I always want to find the elegance in whatever it is that I'm doing. So if I shoot the frozen few, or if I shot what I just shot, which you guys will be seeing again soon, I try to find these moments of elegance where things are frozen in time and there's almost a ballet playing out, if you will. That's what I look for in these moments. And if it is chaotic, then I still try to find the elegance in that. So those are the themes that constantly run through my head when I'm shooting, is to finesse it and draw some elegance from the moment. J Photos, shout out to J Photos, killing it on YouTube lately, staying very busy and putting out some very important content. And if you guys are not checking out J Photos, you need to go check out his content. He's doing something a little different from everybody else, and I really appreciate it. It's super inspiring. Can't wait till we can collab on something. What's the game within a game you play with yourself? Oof, man, that is, wow. The game within the game that I play with myself is how many hard drives can I own and hide files from myself that I really need. I can't find any of my shit. Like, it's really bad. I have so many hard drives that, like, it's a crapshoot. I plug them in and I'm like, nope, not here. And then I get all sweaty because I think that I deleted something that's super important. And just do yourself a favor, whatever hard drives you guys have, get a Sharpie and write what's on it and save yourself the drama. Another question by J Photos. How do you keep yourself interested in photography after many years? Honestly, it's just through the act of doing. I feel like this resonates with a lot of us. Every time I force myself to pick up the camera, even if I'm sitting at home and the only people in the room are my girlfriend and my dog, I will catch myself shooting for hours. So that's kind of how I stay interested in photography. It's just the act of doing. It's a part of my identity now, so I think that really helps. I don't know who I am really without a camera, so that's a difficult question for me because it feels symbiotic now. It just feels like we are fused. But if there is ever a time that I feel down on my photography, sometimes a deep dive through my files to prove that, oh, I am a good photographer really, really helps. If that doesn't help, just getting outside and the act of doing really, really does that for me. Next question from One Calzada. Are you going to be making some videos that are film related in the future? Sure. Adriano, collaboration with your brother? No, fuck that guy. Do you still shoot Fuji, or is it Leica exclusively now? XT4 filming me over there. I still own my X Pro 2, X100F, GFX 50R, and the X70. So that's 4 Fuji cameras that I still own that I do not really shoot except for the XT4. I'm currently looking into selling my GFX 50R. If you guys are interested with the Pancake 50mm 3.5 lens, shoot me a DM. Yeah, let's talk. Okay, Moto Coast. Are you still upstate New York? Are you still in oh God, I can't read. I wonder why. Are you still in upstate New York? What subject matter have you been shooting lately? So yes, I'm still in upstate New York. I'll probably be here till mid-September. Probably going to start apartment hunting again soon. Back in the city, things are calming down. And seeing that the New York is like one of the safest places to be. People have been wearing masks. I've been getting out, going to protests in the time that I was in the city. It all feels pretty normal except for the fact that you can't really go in restaurants and do anything, right? So I've been shooting a lot of this property. The place that I'm staying is really beautiful, so I'm working on a project right now with the owner of this space that I want to document everything here, the flowers, the rock work and everything. It's all kind of like a masterpiece that his father put together. So here's a couple of photos to show you what I've been shooting out here. It's all just nature stuff, but it's a really beautiful place. So that's kind of what I've been turning my lens on lately. Black Clouds, Greg Basciano. What's good, brother? How you doing? What has been the most exciting shoot for you thus far? Actually, the most exciting shoot for me thus far. It's a shoot I just came back from. I just came back from a shoot on Monday. I was in the desert for 2 weeks by Joshua Tree with Jason Momoa and a bunch of motherfuckers that ride motorcycles. That was sick. It was grueling. We woke up every day at 4 a.m., barely slept. We shot all around the clock. It was 110-degree weather, but it was also worth it. And I cannot wait, again, to share those files with you guys. Other than that, I did a video piece for Leica on Ralph Gibson, and that was a huge moment because Ralph Gibson is one of the last great iconic photographers that inspires me. So that was a big deal to meet him and receive so much knowledge from him from that shoot. Waylon Boner, what's good, brother? It's one of the homies from the Lower East Side. He does a lot of really dope skateboarding videos and skating documentary kind of stuff and photography. You guys should check him out. Do an episode shooting with disposables. That's a great idea, actually. Maybe I'll grab a couple Ilfords as soon as I get back to the city. If you're interested, let's go out and we'll do an episode of One Block Series where we both shoot with disposables. That could be pretty sick. Maybe we'll even do some like skateboarding stuff. So I'll reach out to you and see if you're interested in that. Ellie Park's photo. Do you miss it? I do. Edgar Idoga Munoz. I never realized that was your Instagram name. I just read it as Edgar, but okay. Portfolio advice, please. How does someone starting out build and start monetizing their work? Honestly, that's a really difficult question, man. I wish I had an answer for you on that. Figure out what it is that you want to shoot for a living, what makes you happy, what inspires you in photography or video, whatever it may be, and then invest your own time and your money in shooting as much of that as free as you possibly can and post it. Show people that you're busy. They don't need to know that it's not something you're making money off of, but the act of portraying success and busy work is very, very impactful and contagious. People will remember you and they will be like, oh, Edgar has a camera. That's right. I saw he was posting those photos of those models or still life, and we need to have this shoe photograph. So stay busy, invest in what it is you want to shoot with your own time and your own money for right now, and stay busy doing that because people will come. But that's what I did. It doesn't work for everybody. Everybody that's ever found any monetary success in photography or video, they'll tell you the roots stem all over the place. There's just you just got to get creative. But that one little piece of advice, maybe that could help. Jeremy Caesar, the homie Jeremy, congratulations. I know you have a kid now. We need to catch up on a video chat or something. It's been ages, brother. Me and you have trickled out photo work over the last year. Like, what's going on? What are we doing? Let's get back in the game. Miss you. How did you manage to stay productive, creative, and positive during the all COVID-19 situation? Jeremy, I have not. I have not stayed productive, creative, or positive during this entire situation, and that's totally fine because in the moments that I did feel those things, as nice as it is to be where I'm at, I have to remember that this is my reality, and there are a lot of people in this world right now that are suffering with the current events that are happening. So that is a feeling that was very difficult for me to shake. which is part of the reason why I kind of went dark. It feels a little weird just throwing videos out there and pretending nothing is going on. I'd rather just sit with my emotions and what's going on in this moment, rather than, I don't know, finding a way to self-improve. So yeah. Shooting experience using Leica versus Fuji, by Gunnar Rapgar. Shooting experience. I love shooting Leica. When you nail it, you got to work for it, and when you nail it, you feel like a better photographer. And how do I put this into words? The harder you work for things in life, the more value you will find in the reward of that effort, right? So when you first get a Leica camera, you're gonna miss so much. And Gajin talked about this in one of his videos with focusing. We spoke about this recently too. But learning the manual focus is difficult, but it makes you feel so good, because all that stuff when you first got your camera and you're learning about aperture and shutter speed, your brain is firing off, and it feels so good to be learning something new, but it never stops. You know what I mean? You always got to be on when you shoot a Leica. When I was shooting my Fuji cameras, I would hold them in one hand, and I would have the two tips of my finger on that camera, and I would just be hitting the shutter, and I'd just be doing all kinds of ridiculous maneuvers, because it was so easy to get a photo that hit on that camera. And the Leica camera humbled me and it took me back to the basics, and I feel like I now am a better photographer because of it. It's hard to find things that challenge you once you already know what you're doing. And that camera challenged me the same way that my first X100T challenged me, because I took it outside with the 35mm and I was used to shooting 50 and telephoto, and I had to get close to people. So I like learning new systems, and I love the simplicity of it because it's taught me that I don't need a lot to get great photos. Best photography advice besides keep shooting. Best photography advice besides keep shooting. Keep it personal. Keep it personal. Everything is not for Instagram and YouTube and your website. I got to a point with my photography where, like, my measure for quality was whether or not I was going to post a photo on Instagram. That's a really, really bad place to be with your photography. I enjoy sharing, but so when I say keep it personal, I guess I mean find your own value in your photography, not a value through social media and other people, because a lot of times the things that you love, people are not going to like. So yeah, these questions are hard hitting, guys. With your shift to Leica, have you fully left our Fuji universe? Jordan, aka Joe Photo. Again, XT4 over there, so I still got one foot in at all times. But for the most part, I think I have. I hate to say it, but I think I'm drawn to Leica and the amount of support that they have given me and the amount of black photographers they have shooting over there. You look at Leica and there are so many black photographers over there with Leica cameras that they give the platform to. They push to the forefront of their social medias, and I always appreciated that. So to be a part of that family and be a part of that lineage is like, it's really special to me. Will I continue to tell people that Fuji cameras, if you can't afford a Leica, is the best thing that you should get for your money? Absolutely. I sell their cameras left and right. I really believe in what they're doing. Maybe one day they'll put out something that I'll return to. But as of right now, I love the red dot. Roy Jones, how you holding up, brother? I'm good, man. I just took a trip, and that 2 weeks was really rejuvenating to the point that I needed to relax again. So I'm glad to be back home and editing these files and making this video. So hope you're well. Thanks for checking in. Z's are on Z. Where you been? That's a good question. I've been... Archer Nico, how do I get sponsored by Leica? I have no clue. I have no clue. Keep taking photos. I don't know. Simon Emil, seriously, how do you make money and how did you get started with your career? I make money through mostly video. I also make money through photo. I do some BTS stuff on sets. I do a lot of portrait work. I work with some brands on occasion. I'm doing something for a magazine right now, but a lot of my money comes from video work. And the thing about photos, which you have to make peace with the fact that unless you become a really big time photographer, photo is probably not going to pay 100% of your bills. That's totally fine with me. I made peace with that. I figured out other ways like video to pay all my bills so that I can free time to continue to shoot because photo is what I care about. And in my life, my goal is to free up as much time as possible so that I can take photos and do what I want to do. So if you really like photo and composition, maybe think about getting a video camera and creating some monetary value in that, and then you can just shoot photos because you just enjoy it. That's kind of where I'm at. Why the fuck didn't Fuji poach you? Del Rio. Martin Del Rio. I have no clue, man. They blew me off completely. They were not interested in taking the time to look at anything that I was doing. So here we are. Jason. Nice. What's Momoa's favorite camera? He really likes his Leica MP Type 240 because it's still patinas and it has the brass underneath, so that's his favorite camera. Or he uses the ASC Leica M10P. That thing's fucking sick. And it's got like some film styles on it that other cameras don't have. Gareth, what's good, brother? I hope you're well, man. How's street photography during COVID? Similar, different from before? It's very difficult. I find it very, very difficult. I've walked around Manhattan quite a few, and other than taking photos at the protest, the streets are desolate. And one of the things that I really enjoy about street photography is the off chance that I might connect with somebody and take a portrait, even though I don't really do a ton of street portraits. I do on occasion. Sometimes you just get a little bit closer to people and you get to have those conversations. But because of COVID, it feels like there's a barrier now, and it's very hard to get close to people. At least that's what I feel. Personally, I feel very distant from people. So it's been difficult to get back into street photography in this moment. What projects do you have coming up for 2020? Right now, I'm working on some video stuff. The space that I'm in, we're trying to shoot a little film out here. So we're currently working on a script called Freshwater that I'm going to be directing and shooting. My first piece, so we'll see how that goes. And then I also talked about this Harley Davidson commercial, which is going to be featured in Dice magazine amongst some other things. So stay tuned for that. Those are the two things. And I'm working on something with Leica, but I can't really speak on that yet. I just also did a piece with Ruddy Roy on the Leica M10R, so stay tuned for that video and the photos coming out soon. Airboss 1028, thank you for the question. Nick P. Photo. Did you make the switch to the SL2? I still don't own that SL2, but I've had it for about 7 months. I'm going to sell my GFX 50R and the lenses because that's the camera that I want. I absolutely am obsessed with that after this last job that I did, and I need it. So, eventually. What is your favorite Leica lens? It's definitely the 50mm Noctilux. That thing is insane. It's not good for street photography, but it takes a mean portrait. Other than that, 35mm f2 Summicron stays glued to my camera at all times. Favorite street photographer? Question by photographer Lampinen. Bruce Davidson. He inspired me to buy a camera. His Subway series, the book Subway, it's the best capsule of New York City in the 1980s that I've ever seen. The colors, everything about it. I aspire to make something that incredible one day. Since moving to the L brand, do you feel more inspired to go out and shoot? Yeah, I love my Leica L cameras. They inspire me to do more and be great and be a part of that brand and that community. So yes, Lonnie Chick. Patelki, is photography your only way for a living? Nope, video. Phil has a camera. Will you return to NYC? What's your plans for the rest of the year with photography? Well, we're leaving this space in mid-September, so I'll be looking for an apartment either in Brooklyn or Manhattan again. So we'll see. We'll see. Mr. Shaw, how did you meet Momoa? I met him at the Bowery Hotel about 14 years ago. I used to hang out with Zoe Kravitz there, and she introduced me to him. I took him to KCDC to skate some bowls. It was his first time in New York City, so it was his first time on the bridge, and we just hit it off. We were pretty wild back in the day. Not so much anymore, but when we were young, we were rebels. And we just stayed close ever since. We always hung out, but we never worked together. So this is the start of our relationship working together. Grateful Ned, one of the homies. I can't think of a better wording. Do you aim for technical accuracy or happy mistakes? Technical accuracy came at the beginning of learning my camera. I wouldn't call them happy mistakes, but I look for more inspired moments. I shoot from an emotional standpoint. I just click when it feels right. I'm not so worried about getting things right in the camera anymore. You learn it and then you forget it. Too shy to ask a question, but I'm just here to say hello and thank you for your invaluable content. Aw, that's super sweet, man. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Don't be shy. I'm nobody. I don't even have 1 million subscribers yet. Anyway, bird's eye view. Should I downsize from 4 bodies or 2? I have no photography friends to ask. Yes, buy more lenses. Bodies are not important. Glass is important. Buy as much glass as you possibly can. Keep the 2 cameras you love, just in case one fails. Get more lenses. Anyway, guys, that was great. It's been real. I love you. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for sending in the questions, and I'll catch you soon. Peace.